My 12-year-old son nearly got unalived at school last week. A bully choked him unconscious on school grounds during school hours, and the very people who were supposed to protect my child failed him in every possible way. Now our family is caught in a nightmare of school negligence, legal battles, and a rage I can barely contain. I'm sharing this because I need to get it out, and because parents deserve to know how badly things can go wrong, even in good schools. It started with harmless bullying, if there is such a thing. My son, I'll call him M for privacy, is small for his age and a sweet, shy kid. When he began middle school this year, he became a target for an older 8th grade boy, let's call him Z, a hulking kid with a cruel streak. At first it was taunts and shoves in the hallway. M would come home withdrawn, with scuffed knees or a torn backpack. We complained to the school for at least a year about ongoing bullying. We emailed teachers, met with the vice principal, everything. All we got were platitudes and a pamphlet about conflict resolution, basically telling our kid to hug it out with his tormentor. It was infuriating. Z kept targeting M, and the school knew but did little. Over the months, several incidents occurred, each one dismissed by the school as kids being kids. September, M came home with a split lip. He said he tripped, but later a friend told me Z had punched M at recess. The school nurse never called. They just gave him ice and sent him back to class. October, Z and his buddies cornered M in the locker room, stripped him down to his underwear, and took photos. I found my son sobbing in his room, refusing to go to school. We raised hell. The school claimed there was no proof and that M didn't report it immediately, so no one was punished. November. M's phone was flooded with texts and DMs, mock videos of him, threats, cruel memes. One video had Z saying he was going to end M. We showed the principal, who shrugged it off as out-of-school online drama they couldn't control. It was happening at school, on their Wi-Fi, during lunch, but sure, not their problem. December. Z stole M's bike from the rack and smashed it. We had security camera footage and demanded action. The school finally gave Z a 1-day suspension, a slap on the wrist. After that, Z seemed even more enraged at M for getting him in trouble. I was honestly scared every day for my son's safety. By the time winter break ended, M was begging us not to make him go back. We arranged a meeting in January with the principal, counselor, and Z's parents. It accomplished nothing. Z's mother rolled her eyes and said our son was too sensitive. The principal trotted out the both sides nonsense, implying M maybe provoked it. Bull asterisk, 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 asterisk. My kid is practically afraid of his own shadow. They said they'd keep an eye on the situation. Spoiler? They didn't. The incident, the one that almost killed my boy, happened last week, early March. I'm still shaky recounting it. Here's what we've pieced together. M had been trying to avoid Z at school, eating lunch in a teacher's room, taking odd routes to class. On that day, Z caught him on the way back from the bathroom between classes. There's no camera in the boys' bathroom, of course. According to M, and other evidence I'll get to, Z and one of his goons followed him in. M told me later that Z had a disturbingly calm look, and he said to my son, "I'm going to show you how I do people." Yes, he actually said that, like some movie villain. In fact, M recalled Z sneering, "I'm going to show you how I did people back in the day." What the hell does that even mean from a 14-year-old? That line gives me chills. It makes me wonder how many other kids have suffered at this bully's hands. Moments later, Z attacked. He grabbed my son and strangled him. From what we learned, Z either used M's own hoodie or jacket to hang him from a stall door hook, or he pressed him up against the wall by the neck. Possibly both. The school initially lied to us about what happened, but more on that in a second. What we know for sure is that Z squeezed M's neck until he passed out. M lost consciousness. He remembers a terrifying few seconds of being unable to breathe while this bigger kid's arm crushed his throat. There were bruises all over my son's neck from being choked, and even marks under his eyes, petechiae from blood pressure, when I later saw him in the ER. The doctor said one of his injuries was a neck contusion caused by blunt trauma. My 12-year-old now had the bruised neck of a hanging victim. I can't describe the fury and anguish I feel typing those words. How did it end? Apparently Z didn't let go until M went limp. M's friend, the goon, another 8th grader, was actually recording the assault on his phone. Yes, instead of intervening, this kid thought it'd be fun to film my son being choked out, possibly to death, for social media clout. In that video, which I have since seen and cannot unsee, you can hear other students laughing and one shouting, "He's dead! He's dead!" as my child's body goes slack. Let that sink in. They thought my son was dead and some kids were laughing. Only then did Z let him drop. M's head hit the tile floor with a sickening sound in the footage. He likely got a concussion on top of everything. Here's where the school's failure goes, from negligence to outright cruelty. No teacher or staff was in that bathroom. No one supervised, despite these same bullies causing repeated trouble there. We later found out the school knew the bathroom was a hot spot for bullying but did nothing. Z and his buddy, realizing M wasn't moving, panicked. And here is the official story the school gave us. They claimed the boys were roughhousing, and a jacket got caught on a stall hook by accident, leading to M being briefly hung as a freak accident. According to them, Z heroically ran to get help once he couldn't free M from the hook. They basically painted Z as some concerned friend who fetched a teacher. I kid you not, they spun an attempted murder into horseplay gone wrong. The exact phrasing in the school's statement was, 2 of our students were reportedly horseplaying in a school bathroom when one student's jacket got caught on a stall door hook. Horseplaying, caught on the hook. The audacity of these people to push that narrative while my son lay bruised and barely breathing. I got a call from the school around noon. The vice principal's tone was oddly calm. There's been an incident with him. He had a bit of a scare in the bathroom, but he's okay now, she said. My heart leapt to my throat. She downplayed everything. Said something about a jacket and a hook, that M blacked out for a moment, but was awake and talking now. They didn't even call an ambulance. They asked me to come pick him up, not to meet at the hospital. I was confused and alarmed. How did my healthy kid black out from a jacket mishap? I raced to the school. When I arrived, they had M lying on a cot in the nurse's office. He looked frightened and out of it. There were visible red-purple bruises encircling his neck. I lost my breath. It looked like strangulation marks, not some clothing snag. M's voice was hoarse and he was groggy. The nurse, looking nervous, said he might have a concussion and we should get him checked out, but that he was lucky and it could have been worse. The principal then ushers me into her office to explain. She repeats the story. M and Z were goofing around, M's jacket hood got caught on a hook, and he was accidentally choked. She even had the gall to say, boys will be boys, sometimes play can get rough. I was speechless at first. I asked M in front of them what happened, but he was dazed and said he didn't remember much, just that Z came at him. The principal quickly jumped in, blaming my son. It seems they were playing and it got out of hand. Something felt so off. M has never described Z as a friend. Why would they be playing? I didn't want to cause a scene with my disoriented child right there, so I scooped M up and said we were going to the hospital. The principal kept insisting, "Keep us updated." But I'm sure he's fine. Fine. My kid could barely walk straight. He later told me he was seeing stars and actually lost vision while being choked. I drove straight to the ER. They did a full workup, CT scan, neck x-ray, blood work. The doctors confirmed he had a concussion and the telltale signs of strangulation trauma. They noted the neck contusion from blunt force on his chart. I remember a nurse gently asking me, "Did someone try to hang him?" My blood ran cold. I explained what the school told me. She gave me a look of pure disbelief and said, "Those marks. This was no accident." M, once he was a bit more lucid, broke down crying. He croaked out, "Mom, he tried to kill me. Z tried to kill me." That's when he described the encounter, the threat Z whispered, the hands tightening around his throat. He thought he was gonna die. My sweet boy thought those were his last moments on earth. I am crying angry tears as I write this. While still in the hospital room, I called the school and told the principal in no uncertain terms that I knew it wasn't an accident, it was an attack, and that I was contacting the police. She sounded taken aback, mumbled something about needing to investigate further, and even said, "Well, kids' memories can be unreliable under stress." Excuse me? I hung up on her and dialed 911 to file an assault report. If the school wouldn't protect my son, I damn sure would. That evening, things went nuclear. Turns out, while I was at the hospital, a video of the attack had surfaced among parents on Facebook. One of the other kids in that bathroom, there were 2 accomplices apparently, had posted the video on Snapchat for laughs. A horrified student showed it to her mother, who happened to recognize my son. That parent found my contact info through a mutual friend and sent me the video. She was as livid as I was, saying her own child is terrified of Z, and the school has ignored complaints. I watched maybe 2 seconds of the clip, enough to see Z's arm yanking my son's neck from behind in a headlock before I had to stop. I literally vomited. The school's lies were caught on camera. It was no horseplay. It was an outright attempted murder while other kids cheered. Armed with the video and my son's statement, I wanted justice immediately. The police who took our statement were surprisingly attentive, perhaps because I mentioned the video. An officer went to the school that night. Here's a kicker. The school had not even reported the incident to the police at all up to that point. They were going to treat it as a minor school disciplinary issue and sweep it under the rug. If I hadn't raised hell, if that other parent hadn't sent the video, Z would likely be back in class after a short suspension, free to torment others. The thought makes my blood boil. By the next day, the story had spread in our community. Other parents were outraged. The local news even got wind. Someone leaked the school's laughable horseplay statement. We refuse to let M return to that school. He's never setting foot there again. While M rested at home, traumatized and sore, I started the fight. Talking to detectives, gathering written statements from kids, and contacting a lawyer. My husband, I'll call him B, was as angry as I've ever seen him, but he tends to shut down when he's enraged. B grew up tough. He was bullied as a kid, and I think this triggered something deep in him. He mostly stayed by M's side, comforting him, but I could see the anger simmering in his eyes. The police did arrest Z at least. He's a minor, 14, so it's a juvenile case, but they took it seriously. We're told he's being charged with aggravated assault and possibly attempted something. I don't know all the terms, but the detective mentioned it could have been attempted murder if evidence showed intent. Either way, he was removed in cuffs from his home. It gave me some grim satisfaction to imagine his arrogant face finally showing fear. However, as satisfying as that moment was, the fallout has just begun. We're exploring a lawsuit against the school for negligence, and frankly, I want the principal's head on a platter for lying and endangering kids. I've since learned this same bully, Z, had hurt others before. One parent confided that last year, Z broke a younger boy's arm in a fight, and the school quietly handled it internally. No police, just a brief expulsion from sports. They knew and did nothing. They knew Z was a ticking time bomb, and still let him roam free among smaller kids. My son almost paid with his life for their willful ignorance. M is not well emotionally. He has nightmares where he wakes up screaming, clutching his throat. He's terrified to be alone, even to use the bathroom. Can't blame him. We've got him in therapy, but he's not going to just get over this overnight, as I told one reporter. The marks on his neck haven't fully faded yet, and each time I see them, I feel a rush of rage anew. B and I are trying to be strong for him, but we're barely holding it together ourselves. I'm so angry. I'm angry at the bully, at the school, at those cackling kids in the video, even at myself for not pulling him out of that school sooner. I lie awake at 3 a.m. imagining what could have happened, how close we came to planning a funeral right now. It's a miracle, or sheer luck, that my son is alive. This post is already long, and I'm sorry. I just needed to vent and document this horror story. We are pursuing every avenue to hold the school accountable and to make sure Z can't hurt anyone else. The detective said something that stuck with me. If not for the video, they might have struggled to charge Z, since the school initially framed it as accidental. Thank God for that parent who forwarded it to us. Sunlight and evidence are our allies. We have a long fight ahead. I'm prepared for school board meetings, legal battles, maybe even media coverage. A local TV station has been calling. Honestly, I welcome it. I want the world to know what happened to M, and how the school tried to cover it up. I want them shamed into change. As one attorney said about a similar tragedy, lawsuits can put schools on notice to actually enforce anti-bullying policies. If that's what it takes, so be it. For now, I'm focused on M's recovery and getting justice. I'm also watching B closely. He's so silent it scares me. He mutters about how if the system fails, he'll handle it his way. I begged him not to do anything stupid. The last thing we need is someone else getting hurt, or B ending up in jail. Between comforting our son, documenting evidence, and trying to keep my husband from exploding, I'm at my limit. I'll update this post as things develop. The police investigation, any school response, they've been eerily quiet since the video came out, and how M is doing. Thank you to anyone who reads this. Please hug your kids a little tighter tonight. We send our kids to school thinking they'll be safe. And then this, TLDR. My son was strangled by a known bully at school and nearly died. The school tried to call it horseplay and didn't even call 911. We obtained video proving it was an intentional attack, and now the bully is arrested and we're seeking justice. Our family is traumatized and furious, and the fight isn't over. Update 1. First, I want to thank everyone for the outpouring of support and advice. It's been about 2 weeks since my original post, and life has been a whirlwind of police interviews, doctor visits, and sleepless nights. I wish I could say things are better. In some ways, there's been progress. The police investigation is moving, and we've lawyered up. In other ways, new challenges have nearly broken us. M's condition. Physically, M is doing a bit better. The bruises on his neck have faded, but he still has tenderness and needs to wear a soft brace occasionally because any strain causes him pain. Doctors are monitoring some after effects of oxygen deprivation. He has memory lapses and gets dizzy spells. They think he'll recover fully in time, but can't be sure, emotionally. It's rough. He refuses to sleep alone, and even then he wakes up screaming. One night he woke up in a full panic, clutching his throat and gasping. He thought he was still being choked. We had to spend an hour calming him down. It was heartbreaking. He's traumatized, and it will take a long time for him to feel safe again. We have him seeing a trauma specialist twice a week. It's helping a bit. He's at least able to verbalize some of his fear now, but he's nowhere near ready to even think about returning to any school environment. We're looking into online schooling for the rest of the year. Legal fallout. Criminal Z, the bully, had his initial juvenile court hearing. B and I attended as the victim's parents, though it was closed to the public. Z's parents were there too. Let me tell you, seeing that kid in a jumpsuit, shackled, should have felt good. And part of me was glad he looked scared. But mostly I felt white-hot anger that he dared to look bored at times, like this was just a minor inconvenience. When the judge asked if he understood the charges, felony assault and something akin to strangulation causing injury, he just mumbled, "Yes, ma'am." No apology, no remorse. His lawyer was one of the top juvenile defense attorneys money can buy, so the family is lawyering up hard. They actually tried to argue for house arrest instead of detention, claiming he's a good student and this was an unfortunate incident. Are you kidding me? Thankfully, the judge kept him detained at least until the next hearing. I was shaking with rage in that courtroom. B was next to me, stiff as a board. At one point, as Z was let out, he glanced over, and I glared at him with all the fury in my soul. He quickly looked down. Good. Outside the courtroom, we unexpectedly ran into Z's parents. They had stepped out of a side room. His mother, the same eye-rolling woman from our meeting months ago, actually walked up to me. I braced myself for confrontation, but her tone was strangely conciliatory. She said, "We're so sorry for what happened to him. We're praying for his recovery." I just stared, stunned at the sudden change. Then she kept going, "But please, he's just a child too. We don't want 2 children's lives ruined." I lost it. I said, "Your child nearly strangled mine to death. He's exactly where he belongs, in custody." She started getting defensive, saying we should all sit down and talk instead of ruining everything with lawyers and police. It was surreal. Basically, they want to protect their son. Understandable as parents, but with zero acknowledgement of what our son went through. Z's dad joined in, implying this could have been resolved if we hadn't made it public. He had the nerve to suggest that the video going viral hurt both families. B stepped forward at that, and very quietly said, "The only one hurting these families is your son. Back off." I swear I thought B might swing at him if they didn't leave, but they did, with Z's mom dabbing crocodile tears. So much for empathy. They're in cover their asses mode. Our lawyer later told us Z's family's attorney reached out to feel out a possible settlement, essentially them paying some damages if we agreed not to push for a harsh penalty in court. We told them to go to hell in legalese. We're not about to let this sociopath get a slap on the wrist just because his family has money. Legal fallout. Civil. Yes, we're suing the school district. That process is slower, but our attorney filed a notice of intent. Since then, the district superintendent finally reached out to us, offering a meeting. I suspect it's because they know a lawsuit is coming and want to mitigate PR damage. We haven't responded yet, on lawyers' advice, It's clear the school officials are scrambling. A small local newspaper ran a front-page story titled, "School Covered Up Bullying Attack, Parents Allege." The school's official comment was an annoying, generic statement. "We are aware of a serious incident and are fully cooperating with law enforcement. The safety of our students is our top priority." Top priority, my ass. They only responded once it was in the news. I found out that the principal who lied to my face has been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Good. I hope she's fired. A teacher who had been aware of prior incidents also came forward, off the record, and told me she had reported concerns about Z to the administration multiple times. They repeatedly told staff that it's being handled. It wasn't. This teacher was crying on the phone apologizing to me, saying she felt guilty. I don't blame her at all. She tried. It was the higher-ups who didn't listen. It's becoming evident that the school administration knew Z was violent and chose to do the bare minimum. Our lawsuit will lean heavily on that, and on how they blatantly misrepresented the attack, which delayed proper medical care and police intervention. One detail that emerged: no one called 911 when M was found unconscious. They revived him, splashing water on him. He coughed and came to, apparently, and then just took him to the nurse. This, despite his eyes being bloodshot and ringed with red marks and him vomiting once, a clear concussion sign. The school's own policies say to call emergency services for any loss of consciousness, yet they didn't, likely because they wanted to control the narrative and not involve outside authorities. It makes me sick thinking about their priority being saving face over a child's life. Family front. Now I need to talk about something painful. My husband B. I mentioned before that he was extremely angry and going quiet, which worried me. Well, my fears weren't unfounded. About a week after the incident, B did something reckless. I wasn't present, but here's what happened as I pieced together from him and a witness. B went to get gas late one night and ended up driving by Z's house. We know where they live from school directory info. He saw Z's father outside unloading something from his truck. B pulled over and confronted him in their driveway. He told me he just wanted to talk, to ask why they let their kid become a monster. But anger took over. It turned into a shouting match. According to a neighbor who later spoke to police, it escalated with B yelling in the dad's face and the dad shoving him back. B then punched Z's father, flooring him. The neighbor called the police, and B was arrested on the spot for assault. He spent a night in jail. I didn't even know until he called me in the morning, ashamed and apologetic. I was beyond furious at both him and the situation. We don't need this. Now B has a misdemeanor charge to deal with, and Z's family is gleefully using it. Their lawyer actually mentioned in a juvenile hearing that the victim's father has a history of violence, trying to somehow paint us as the problem. The judge didn't really entertain that, thank God, but it's out there. And of course, the local gossip mill picked up on father of victim arrested for attacking Bullies' dad. So now we look like crazed vigilantes. I had a breakdown when B came home. I screamed that I needed him to keep it together, that M needs him. B just broke down crying, repeating, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I hate myself." The thing is, I get the rage. Part of me, dark as it is to admit, fantasized about confronting those parents too. But we can't afford these mistakes. B is now staying firmly away from anything related to Z's family. Our lawyer will handle the assault charge. The neighbor's statement actually backs up that the other dad pushed first, so maybe self-defense, we'll see. Unexpected twist. Amid all this turmoil, an old friend of mine reached out. Turns out, she had a similar experience. Her child was mercilessly bullied, not to the point of near death, but physically hurt and psychologically tortured, and the school ignored it until they sued. She put me in touch with a support group of parents dealing with school bullying and incompetence. It's sad such groups have to exist, but it was oddly comforting to talk to folks who understand. One parent said something profound. Pursue justice, but don't let it consume you. Your child needs you, not just your fight. That hit hard. I have been so wrapped up in rage and legal battles that I worry I'm not emotionally present enough for M. I'm trying to balance better, spending relaxed time with him as much as he can handle, not just discussing the case or his therapy 24/7. It's hard though, because every quiet moment my brain goes back to the fight. So that's where things stand. In summary, Z is still in juvenile detention for now. Next hearing in a couple of weeks will determine if he's released on some program or kept longer. We'll push for maximum consequences. Our lawsuit against the school is in motion. The school officials are on the defensive. We might see some resignation soon. Rumor has it the principal is considering early retirement. Good riddance. B's mistake put a dent in our moral high ground, but we're hoping to deal with that quietly. We've both started counseling as a couple to handle the stress and anger. We found a therapist who deals with families of trauma victims. M is safe at home, surrounded by love, but deeply traumatized. It's going to be a long road for him. I wish I had a triumphant "we won" update, but reality is messier. There are small wins, like seeing a glimmer of my son's smile when we watched his favorite movie together, or when he managed to sleep 5 hours straight. And there are setbacks. Legal drama, B's arrest, nightmares returning. We're taking it day by day. Some of you asked if we plan to move or transfer M to a different school. In the short term, he'll do online schooling. Long term, we might move. Honestly, this incident cast a dark shadow over this town for us. Even M said, "I never want to go back there," and I don't blame him. I'll update again when there's more to report, likely after the next court developments or any major changes. I'm hoping the school district offers a settlement because I'd rather use resources for M's healing than drawn-out litigation, but if they don't, we're prepared to fight to the end. It's not about money, it's about accountability, so this never happens to another kid. As one lawyer in a similar case said, schools need to be put on notice to deal with bullying or face consequences. Thank you again for reading and caring. Hug your kids, check in on them, and if they say they're being bullied, raise hell early. If our complaints had been truly addressed a year ago, we might have avoided this nightmare. Instead, the school's inaction ultimately prevented us from understanding the danger until it was almost too late. I'm holding on to hope that justice will be served, and that M will slowly regain his confidence and peace. But I know there's no quick fix here. And to those who offered to attend the school board meeting with pitchforks, I chuckled thank you, but let's keep it civil. For now, winking face. TLDR of Update 1. 2 weeks later, M is recovering physically, but traumatized. The bully Z is in juvenile detention facing charges. His family is defensive and tried to apologize, but not really. We're suing the school for negligence. My husband got arrested for punching the bully's dad, complicating things. We're trying to stay strong as a family and focus on healing M while pursuing justice. No resolution yet, just taking it one day at a time. Update 2. I never wanted to have to write this update. I'm writing through tears and with the heaviest heart. This will likely be my final update. My son, M, is gone. God, I can barely see the screen. M is gone. He died 3 days ago. It wasn't the immediate result of the attack, but in a way, that bully killed my son. If not physically, then spiritually. And eventually, physically too. Let me explain as best I can. Though it's all a blur, and so painful, I feel like I'm in a nightmare I can't wake up from. Over the last month, since the second update, M had been struggling with severe PTSD and depression, though we didn't fully realize the depth of the depression. We knew he was traumatized and scared, but we thought with therapy and love he'd slowly heal. We were so focused on the external fight, the court case, the lawsuit, punishing those at fault, that maybe we missed how much internal fight M was going through daily. M put on a brave face sometimes. He didn't want to worry us. He would say I'm okay, even when it was obvious he wasn't. His therapist did warn us he showed signs of severe anxiety and depression, and we had safety plans in place. We never left him alone for long. Firearms were removed from the house, not that we thought he'd ever, but we took every precaution. We checked in constantly. We thought we were doing all the right things to prevent the unthinkable. But the unthinkable found a way. 3 days ago, in the late afternoon, M was in his room with the door open. We insisted on open door unless changing, just to easily check on him. B and I were downstairs discussing some legal paperwork. Ironically, something related to the lawsuit against the school. M had been very quiet that day, but earlier he'd sat with me and we read some funny book together. He even laughed a little. I cherished that moment, not knowing it would be one of his last laughs. At some point, M went into the bathroom. A normal thing, of course. After about 10 minutes, I realized I hadn't heard the bathroom door open again. I called out to him, "M, you okay?" No response. B noticed too and said he'd go check. He knocked on the bathroom door, calling M's name. I heard no answer. Something in my stomach dropped. The door was locked. B started pounding and yelling M's name. panic rising in his voice. I ran up, and in that split second I just knew something was very, very wrong. Dee broke the door handle, still amazed he did that so fast. And we got in. We found my baby. Deep breath. We found M unconscious. He had attempted to hang himself using his bathrobe belt tied to the shower rod, the very method that monster had nearly killed him with. He reenacted it on himself. I cannot describe the scream that left my body. B lifted M up to release the pressure, and I fumbled to untie the belt. We got him down, and B started CPR while I called 911, hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. EMTs arrived within minutes and took over. They got a pulse. We rode with him to the hospital, in shock, praying, begging the universe not to take him. I was in denial. This wasn't happening. He'd wake up. This was just another nightmare of his, and we'd soothe him awake. The next 24 hours in ICU were the most harrowing of my life. M was in a coma, on a ventilator. The lack of oxygen had caused catastrophic damage. The doctors gently told us that, even if he survived, there may be significant brain injury. I refused to accept that he wouldn't wake up and be okay. This couldn't be how the story ends. Not after everything. We kept vigil at his bedside, pleading with him to come back. I held his little hand, so soft, so still, and I sang his favorite lullaby. He was collapsed by the bed, sobbing and apologizing over and over. "I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. Please stay, please." We both felt this immense, crushing guilt. How did we not see this coming? How could we let him out of our sight, even for a moment? I replayed every conversation. Did he hint at this? Should I have known? The truth is, he did once say something that haunts me now. In a therapy session a week ago, he said, "Maybe I should just disappear, so I won't be scared anymore." It was addressed, and we all talked it through, but I thought it was just a passing feeling, not a concrete plan. I was wrong. After a day and a half, the doctors performed some tests. The results were every parent's worst nightmare. M had no meaningful brain activity, too much time without oxygen. My son was brain dead, technically alive only because of machines. When they told us, I literally screamed until I nearly passed out. B punched a wall so hard he broke 2 fingers, then just fell to the floor, a broken man. We had to make the agonizing decision to remove life support. They gave us a moment to say goodbye. I climbed into the hospital bed with M, held him in my arms like I did when he was a baby, and told him it was okay, he could rest. He died in my arms. My baby isn't suffering or scared anymore. He's just, gone. I am shattered. B is shattered. Our world is ended. There is no describing this pain. It's not natural to bury your child. It's not natural to witness your child's last breath. A part of me died with him in that moment. I debated whether to even update here, but I had promised I would. And maybe I want people to know what bullying can do, what absolute neglect by those in power can lead to. Bullying isn't just part of growing up, it's life and death. My son survived the physical assault, but the trauma and fear killed him anyway. The school's failure killed him. That bully's actions killed him. We have to live with that. They all get to live. My son doesn't. In the aftermath, the house is so quiet. M's room is exactly as he left it, and I can't bear to go in, yet I can't stay away either. I sit there and cry for hours. B is barely speaking. I'm worried sick about him too. He's blaming himself entirely. I keep hearing him whisper, "I should have protected him. I should have." I don't know how to console him when I feel the same guilt. We failed to see the depths of M's despair. We thought loving him and fighting for him was enough, but his pain was too overwhelming. I also carry a burning rage inside me, one that now has nowhere to go. We got some justice. Z was held accountable legally for the assault, but what does it matter now? Any satisfaction I thought I'd get seeing him punished has evaporated. Nothing brings M back. The lawsuit against the school will continue, and you bet we will pursue it not just for M, but for every kid that might be saved if the district actually changes. But even if we win millions of dollars, it's hollow. It won't fix this ache in my chest. As Diego's family said after their settlement, we'd give it all back in an instant just to have our baby with us. Money is nothing compared to a life. We have informed the authorities of M's death, of course. It may lead to additional charges against Z, possibly elevating to manslaughter or something, since the suicide is directly tied to the bullying, though I'm not sure how that works legally. Part of me wants Z to rot and suffer knowing what he caused. Another part of me is just empty and can't muster any feeling about him now. I heard from someone that when Z was told M had died, he allegedly cried. I don't know if it's true or if I even care. Too little, too late. The school district had the nerve to issue a public condolences statement about M's passing, all thoughts and prayers, and how they are committed to student safety. It made me so angry I thought I'd spontaneously combust. They contributed to this with their lies and inaction. Save your prayers. We needed action a year ago, not hollow words now. We haven't planned the funeral yet. I don't even know how I'll find the strength to get through that. We did allow M's organs to be donated, the few that were still viable after the trauma. M was such a kind soul. I think he would be happy knowing he helped save other lives. In a way, he lives on by giving others a second chance. It's a small solace. I also found out that M left a note. It's more like a crayon drawing with a few words, heart-wrenchingly simple. He drew our family, me, B, and him, holding hands. And he wrote, "Sorry, I love you." That's it. We didn't find it until later. Tucked in, his favorite book on his bed, I burst into tears seeing it. B had to leave the room. He was crying so hard he almost screamed. That little note. I'll treasure it forever, but it also hurts more than I can say. My poor baby. Why did he feel sorry? We are the ones who are sorry. Sorry that the world was so cruel to him. Sorry we couldn't keep him safe from it. Sorry we couldn't heal his heart in time. I don't know what comes next for us. Honestly, I don't even know how I get out of bed in the morning now. B and I are clinging to each other, trying to survive this. Some days I feel a glimmer of purpose, like making sure the school pays for this or starting some foundation in M's name. But other days, I feel nothing but emptiness. The only thing I can hope is that M's story will wake people up. If one good thing can come, maybe it's that another parent out there will see the signs and intervene earlier, or a school official will actually step in before it's too late for someone else. Maybe some bully will read this and feel actual remorse and change their ways, a long shot I know. We will still pursue the lawsuit. It's not about revenge or money now, it's about truth and change. As the judge in another case noted, the school's reckless behavior prevented us from understanding the full extent of the bullying until it was too late. I'll add that it prevented even M from truly believing help would come. He likely felt hopeless. If we can prove that in court, maybe the administrators will finally face consequences beyond a paid leave. And maybe other schools will take note and reform their bullying policies. If I can spare one family this hell by roaring my son's story from the rooftops, then I'll do it until my last breath. For those who have followed along, I'm sorry to end on such a devastating note. Life isn't a fairy tale. There's no happy ending here. We loved our son more than anything. We fought for him, and still, evil found a way to steal him from us. There's no happily ever after, just a before and an after, and an endless missing of what could have been. Give your kids love. Believe them. Protect them fiercely. And if they are hurting, please get them help and watch them like a hawk. I thought I was doing that, and it still slipped through my fingers. The guilt will haunt me forever. M, my beautiful boy, you were too good for this world. I'm sorry we couldn't make it safe for you. I hope you have found peace, free from fear. We love you so much. No TLDR this time. I just can't.